Hey everybody, welcome back. Tech Billy 83 coming to you from the tech stead, and today we're working on the furnace project for the camper. It's Sunday, September something or other. I don't know. It is what it is. Anyway, let's get into it. So we've got the frame that we built the other day, and I got some 2-inch square tubing pieces that we're going to weld on here in order to go underneath the front and back vertical plates on the furnace, the vertical supports, whatever we're going to call them. I want to get it up off the platform by at least 2 inches because the air box, the plenum there, was resting on one of these bars, and I didn't want it to be putting stress on the fan and on the air box. And also, it would be a source of rattling when that thing starts moving, when the fan starts blowing. Plus, I need to be able to get in there and service it if I have to, so the extra little bit of clearance underneath it is going to help out for that. So what we got to do now is clean up the steel with our grinder a bit here, and then we're going to weld these 2-inch square tubes onto the main frame, and then we are going to lift the furnace onto there with the tractor. So that's what we're going to accomplish here. That big piece of steel across the back there, I ain't going to use that quite yet. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to use that. I thought about putting it across the back here because the edge of the furnace actually ends up in here, right where my fingies are. So what I'm going to do is offset these pieces by half an inch or so on each side. So I'm going to gain an inch of distance, and that should be enough to land the edge of these 2-inch 2x2 square tubes at the edge of that foot and that foot. That's pretty thick steel there. I don't want to attach anything to the bottom there because number one, the sides have to go down through there, and I believe they overhang a little bit, and you can see that the foot actually sticks down further than the bottom of that, so I want to make sure that I'm not interfering with the sides when it's time to reassemble this whole thing. So I want to do all my welding and attachment on the feet, on the vertical supports. So let's get into it. So I've already got center lines figured out and marked out. So at this point, I just need to mark where we're going to be grinding. And then I've got to mark, I got to grind on the end of the square tube as well. Clean that up for weld. Alright, so I'm going to start the welding on that back one because it's a little cleaner steel. Actually, maybe what I'll do is just brighten it up a bit for the ground. Because I'm probably going to have to do that anyway. That'll save me later on. I flip that around so that the part of the ground clamp that actually has the wire on it is what's touching the bright part. That way we don't have to like ground through the clamp itself in case there's any corrosion in the clamp. It's a more efficient path for the pixies to flow. Apparently I don't have any gloves today. Oh well. Just checking up our center marks. And again, I want to try and get these things out as far as they can go so that I've got, you know, as much overhang as possible to get under the feet of that. That looks good by eye. Could have swore I ground that. Apparently I didn't grind it at the right spot or far enough. Better than nothing, I guess. Okay, that looks good. Alright, so let's check for the oopsies. No oopsies on this side. I ground this one correctly. So we just line up our center marks and then get it out as far as we can so that it sort of naturally balances so that I don't have to fight with holding it. Good enough. wanted to clean that one up because it's going to be front and center and I didn't want it to be obvious. It didn't look the way I wanted it to. Alright. So this thing here may end up being a support for the chimney. We'll see. I believe that is some steel left over from the walk-through door, the man door for the train room. Alright, so now I got to reposition the tripod because the tractor's got to get in there. There we go. That should work. Okay. So now what I got to do is just get those feet lined up good enough to get weld on each of them and get the furnace centered on them. Without dumping it on the ground. I guess I should have gotten out further with the square tube. You know, like spread it out this way more, but whatever. I wanted to make sure I had a good enough amount of weld on there to keep it structurally sound. Oh, I like how that piece moves independently of everything else. That's a good sign, right? Wonder what that's all about. Yeah. See, now I'm wondering if I should test fit the sides. Make sure that the sides go on nice and easily. So I figure I better test fit these now before I weld and lock it in, and then find out I have a problem later. Okay, I'm liking it. Now, like I was saying earlier, I thought that the sides may extend down a bit. They're about even with the bottom of the furnace right here. But as you can see here, these are all dented and banged up, so I'm going to have to straighten them out. But the other thing that I'm going to end up doing here is putting heat tape. Well, it's like packaging tape, but it's made for high temperature. It's a 3M product. They sell it at Lowe's and Home Depot and all them. It's a foil tape. That's the actual name for it. It's foil tape. It's like a metallic, really thin metal with adhesive on it that's activated by heat, and then it like becomes an epoxy glue, and it does great stuff for sealing the gaps. So I want to seal the gap on the bottom here because we want all the airflow to go through the ducting and not just escape out the bottom of the furnace. So the heel of my boot there got stuck on the steel. Yeah, you gotta live dangerously, right? That's my luck. Almost get taken out by a shoe. Alright, so I should have ground on this before I put it in place, but whatever. We'll grind on it now. Yeah, I know. If there's any professional fabricators in the audience, just please look the other way. I know, I know. Probably should have said that sooner. But, you know, if you've been watching the channel now for a while, you probably understand how it is, and you're okay with it if you're still here. Got the ground. So basically, what I did is I laid down a bead on the part that was clean on the tube. Then I laid down a bead on the part that was clean on the furnace, and then just bridged them. So that's how we get around craptastic metal prep. You know, where you're supposed to properly grind and clean everything. Alright, so that one there, I kind of vaporized through the parent metal, so I wanted to add a little bit more there to support it better. Okay, let's take you guys for a spin. Spin. So, you know, just welded the furnace to the frame. Not great, not terrible. 3.6 out of whatever welds. Oh, gotta be careful. I almost knocked it off the concrete blocks. So my original plan here was to tap con through these holes, but they are incredibly close to the edge of the block, and they're not gonna, you know, we'll just blow right through the edge of the block and just make a mess. So what I think we're gonna end up doing here ultimately is probably drilling some holes on the top here and going straight down in. I don't know, we'll see. Yeah, so there we have it. So now the furnace is solidly skid mounted and ready to, you know, transport around. I got the damper valve to go, you know, for the air supply in the front there, so I need to acquire some pipe to come around the side. I'm going to probably do all of the controls over here. I'll probably, you know, put up a little metal pedestal with a waterproof enclosure, and then bring all this electrical nonsense into that enclosure in some, you know, hard MCBX, whatever that is. I gotta use my words. That rat's nest is going to go away because we don't need that transformer or any of that nonsense, because everything that we're going to be doing control-wise is going to be digital, low voltage through Home Assistant with relay boards and Wi-Fi. So, not too worried about that. I have 8-inch chimney here, there, and the guy I bought this from threw in another short section. So we need to, we got to get us the piping to come off of here in like a 3-foot section with the damper, you know, the butterfly valve to, you know, restrict the exhaust flow. And then probably going to take this guy and weld it up straight up and down like this, add the necessary support, and then clamp the chimney to it. Use it as a stanchion to support the chimney. So I think that's how I'm gonna figure that one. You know, I've also got some of these road delineator type signs over here. That one's, you know, got all them holes in it. Maybe I could just drill straight into the side of this through all them holes, you know, with some self-tapping screws. We'll see. Or just put some big monster steel pipe, hose clamps or zip ties or something around it to stabilize the chimney. But basically, good start to this. Let me pull back here a little further to give you a better idea of what I've got in mind here. So this is going to be like a corrugated metal enclosure. Corrugated metal like this stuff. Don't know exactly what I'm going to do for the framing inside of it, if I'm going to roll the dice with wood, being that it's a furnace and it's going to get hot, or if I'm probably going to go the route of steel stud and then you know, just weld the steel stud right to the frame, and then just you know, screw the corrugated steel on top of that, you know, right into it. That's probably the way I'm going to go, because I actually do have some steel stud left over from another project that, you know, I over purchased on that project. You know, I mean, that's just kind of how it goes here. You know, I buy way too much stuff. I have a problem. So I'm just going to repurpose, you know, take that steel stud off the shelf and, you know, just make a box over top of this with a slanted roof, you know, probably, you know, pitched roof like that. So it's kind of going to look like one of them outdoor wood boilers, you know. And then we'll put some portals on the side. The portals are going to be on the left side here, because number one, the airbox there has its portal already facing this way, so we just got to, you know, do a takeoff collar right there. Once we put the whole furnace back together, the top has a portal on the top, so we just need to plumb that out to the side, either with a 90-degree elbow or, you know, just flex duct. I'm gonna see if I have an elbow laying around here somewhere. I seem to have remembered that I had a 90-degree elbow, 10-inch. So I got to try and find that, and then you know, probably use that, because I don't want all my you know, PVC ducting and, you know, HVAC plastic type stuff right on top of the furnace. It's just not a best practice, and, you know, in case this thing runs away and gets super hot. And again, that's another reason why I don't want to make the frame out of wood. It will be outdoor, so the risk is minimal, but still, you know, you don't want a freaking fire right next to your camper. Yeah, so there you have it. It's on the skid, it's welded in, so now I can move it around a lot easier with the tractor. And, you know, the project is starting to move forward pretty well here. So now I need to go help the Sprout with one of her things. We are, I don't know, do I want to say Oktoberfesting, or we are fallerizing? Yes, we are fallerizing our roadside stand. So in other words, we're getting it set up for fall time. So that what that means is we're changing out the colored lights. You know, we have string lights, and you know, we change the colors every holiday or so. So like this time of year, we go orange, purple, black light, and green. So we get the colored bulbs from Lowe's or eBay or wherever, and we change them out, you know, to kind of be the theme of the holiday. And then when it gets time to go into like Thanksgiving, we go red, orange, yellow. And then for Christmas, we go red, green, white. And if we stay open throughout the winter this year, we got to figure out a winter color scheme, because we've never stayed open during the winter. And if we stay open for the winter, I got to get a salt spreader to go on the gator or on the back of the tractor. Yeah. And then in springtime, we do like a, you know, a pink, green, yellowish, you know, for like Easter. And then, you know, blue and green for spring. And then when, you know, Memorial Day comes, red, white, and blue. And then it's red, white, and blue throughout the entire summer. And, you know, so we kind of change it up all the time, make it festive. You know, we like doing it. So I got to go down there and do that now. And then I've got to run out to Lowe's and get some material for the train room. And I got to meet a guy to look at a project down in Utica and see what that's all about. So, side project. So yeah, Tech Billy 83 furnace project update. Hope you liked everything. Feel free to comment, like, share, and subscribe, and all that good stuff. And we'll catch you next time. Later.